Om Swastiastu. Good evening everyone, nice to see you again. So in this video I'd like to present about educational philosophy and its submaterial, which is idealism, genre. And before that, I'd gladly introduce my honorable lecturer, Dr. Siluh Nyoman Suryadi, SPD MPD, and then also introduce myself. My name is Nikomasi Pramasta. I'm from 6C English Educational Department dan Pasar. And so, without any further ado, let me explain a bit about my mind map. So I have 4 main points that I'd like to discuss today. First is about the definitions of idealism genre, which is we need to know first what is actually idealism in educational part or fields. And also the second submaterial I have here on my maps is the concept and the principle of the idealism genre itself. And then the third submaterial that I have here is about the idealism in education part, and then also the function of teachers regarding idealism in education. So last but not least, submaterial that I have here is about the implications and the implementations of idealism in educational fields. And so let's move to the first main material. Alright, so here before we go to the definitions, I'd like to tell you guys about how is the first moment we found out the idealism genre itself. So Plato is the person that are firstly found out the theory about idealism genre. So Plato, 347 until 427 years before Masehi, found out that idealism believes that the highest knowledge and also truth are ideas itself. So from these thoughts born a theory called idealism. And also according to Plato, an idea is not a thought but a reality. So first we found out an idea, and it is actually the most absolute reality that we can see and we can think. And also it is an idea that gives rise of a knowledge. And next, so after we know the first time the world know about idealism is from Plato, and after that come up questions. So what is actually idealism? And here we go. Idealism in education. So idealism is one of a genre in educational philosophy that is belief the highest knowledge or the highest educations are from ideas, and also the way we think. We can think the truth and also the matter and also the good things in our world, and then also how we can gain true knowledge when we understand what our things. That is why idealism is really important in educational departments itself. And then after we understand what is idealism, the definitions, after we learn about the definitions, let's move into the second submaterial, which is the concept and also the principles of idealism. So the first is metaphysics, idealism, the second is humanology, idealism, the third is epistemology, idealism, and the fourth is axiology, idealism. So these 4 points is the concept of philosophy according to the idealism genre or flow. The first, metaphysics, is belief that reality is also connected with our spiritual. And then the second, humanology, which is human have a soul that has the ability to choose what is right and what is wrong. And then the third is epistemology, idealism. In here, we do believe that the true knowledge is acquired through intuition, and that's why we can think twice before we do anything. We need to think twice before we say anything, do anything, and etc. And the last is axiology, idealism. So it's a more like we live after the governed moral or obligations. We do believe with norms. It's about that. And these are 4 main points about concept of philosophy in idealism genre. And then let's move to the principle of idealism. So we do have 4 main points here as well. The first principle is every each of the elements in idealism genre is connected with others. So either it's logical things or spiritual things is actually a united. So in our body, in humans' life, either spiritual things or physical things is connected. Logical and spiritual need to be together like that. And the second point is based, our reality is also based on an image and from the ideas. So the ideas makes the reality happen like that. So every ideas exists in human soul. And then the third point is idealism belief that human trust spiritual or soul is more valuable than any other material in this world. Of course, our soul is very matter, right? And also, the last is idealism is oriented to ideas that are theocentric. What we call theocentric is when we do center God. We do believe God is the main creatures in this world, and then we do believe that after that our soul is matter, and also the spirituals is matter as ideas, like that. So, for example, we know that this world had the creatures itself, and we call it God, right? And also after that, we do believe that our spiritual is matter, our soul is matter, like that. And then that's all four main principles of idealism. And after that, let me move to the third submaterial that I have, which is idealism in educations. So in this educations department, you need to know about William Harris, which is one of the most influential figures in the United States of America, and he states that school is matter, that the existence of a school is very important. And so that's why until now there's a lot of institutions and also school, college that still improve and grow our new generation's souls, minds, and educational matter. And that is why we do have these four important key in idealism in education. So idealism's result in education is the students will be known as separate individuals. So the students have their own ability, have their own like and dislike, have their own strength and weaknesses. They don't really have so many knowledge maybe, but they mature what they like. So they have their own personality, they have their own ability. We need to think that every students are a separate individuals. We cannot think they are all the same, they're all good at mathematics, they're all good at art. We can't think like that. Because every child have their own characters and also their own uniqueness. And the second important point is teacher beliefs. Teacher believes that spiritual is also matter, is also real. So as a teacher, we need to believe that spirituals or souls is a matter about growing an educational or a learning methods. We need to teach our students that a soul can lead you into a brighter way of think. Because when you realize you have a soul, you will realize that this world is not only about a material. That's it. And then the third is the importance of individual teachings methods. So like what I've already said before, the importance of these methods is when we already recognize that every student is have their own ability. So we need to apply new methods, which is an individual methods, which is we more focus on every individuals of our students. We cannot afford or we cannot we cannot force they understand everything, they learn good at everything. We cannot afford that. So we need to apply the individual learning methods itself. And then the last is education is supposed to guide its students in order to have a meaningful life in their future. And that's why teachers need to teach characters as well. So that's why they will able to choose what is right and what is meaningful for their life in the future. And they will also open their minds to the future and then choose everything that they really passionate in, and so they will end up have a very meaningful life in their life or in their futures. And that is all about idealism in the educations. And then let's move into the functions of teachers in teaching system according to idealism. So we do have 4 points here. The first is about facilitator, the second is specialist, the third is pedagogical potential, and the last is about social personality, and then personality potential, and the last is about social potential. So you have 5 points here. The first is teacher is a facilitator. We as a teacher is a facilitator for our students, where we lead our students to get to know more about this world, more about materials in our learning activities. And so that's why we call ourselves a facilitator as well. And then the second point is teacher is a specialist. Why I say a specialist? Where a teacher must have more knowledge than their students. That is why teachers can lead the students into become more knowledgeable students, more knowledgeable person, more wise person, is because the teacher itself is already competent, already specialist in some subject that the students need to learn. And the third is teachers must have pedagogical potentials. What is pedagogical potentials? Is the ability to develop a learning model. So teachers need to be relevant. Teachers need to be creative and find out a new way to teach and new methods in learning process. And so that's why the teacher needs to develop teaching methods and learning in order to create a very fun and attractive way of learning. And so it's of course to achieve the main purpose of learning, which is increase students' ability or students' knowledge. And also the fourth functions of teachers in education based on idealisms is teachers have to teacher must have personality potentials. Of course, teachers needs to have a good characters as well to guide their students. They itself need to be an authority, or they need to have the influence to influence their students, so their students can um, learn to them, learn what they say with a very honorable heart, and also the students make their teachers as their role models, and etc. And the last functions of the teachers is teachers must have social potentials as well. So not only personal potential but also social potentials. Of course, because we as teachers will be collaborate with so many people, so many persons, so many students, so we cannot be antisocials. We need to have the social potentials as well. So we need to be able to interact with our students, to know more about our students, to have a dialogue, to have a chit chat with our students. We cannot be that cold to our students. We need to hug them. We need to really know more about our students. We cannot be antisocials. So that is the fifth important function of teachers in education based on idealizing gender. And in addition, it's about curriculum, so it's out of topic actually. So the curriculum should focus more to the experience. So the model of the curriculum should be objective content. So experience will be more interesting and more important in this curriculum rather than textbook teaching method. So that will improve the students' experience as well, and also improve their problem solving ability and skill, and etc. And after we finish the third material, the third submaterial, which is idealism in educations and teachers' role in educations, let me continue to the last submaterial, which is implications and implementations of idealism in education. The first is the implications. So you have 5 points as well here, which is the purpose of idealism, the curriculum, the methods, and then the learners, and then the educators. So the first one is the purpose. So the purpose is of course to form a character. The purpose of education based on idealism is to perform a character, to develop their basics, to develop their mind and also talents based on what they like, based on what they enjoy with. So we cannot forget about their individuals exist, and as well as social goodness as well. And the second is curriculum. Liberal education for skills develop and practical education for getting a job. It's also like what I already explained before. Idealism teach us that educations need to train our experience, train the way we think, the way we solve the problem. So we need more about the experience, and also if we have the experience, it will be a lot more chance to us to getting a job. That's what curriculum need to be stated, need to be developed in idealism genre. And also for the methods, idealism prefer the dialectic method, which is linking one science with others. So we need to use some methods that combine everything together and linking other science into another science. So we can be more flexible and be more efficient in learning. But other methods also allowed to use if it's effective. And the third and the fourth, is learners itself. Learners are free to develop their personality, their uniqueness, like what I've said before. Learners are free to being the way their own self is, the way they are. They are freely um, develop their own basic abilities. They have a space to show their own favoriteness, their own majority, their own likes, and also the last is educators. For the educators, of course, they will be responsibility for the creating an educational environment through collaboration with nature. So in idealism, we prepare the educators to collaborate with the natures as well, because we in idealism believes that God is our centers, soul is also our centers, and the reality is also connected with our spirituals. Logical and spirituals is a united. And so the simplest thing to show a soul or a spiritual or a God is when we teach them to be love the nature, to see the natures, which is a very big proof that God and spirituals are exist in every parts of our natures in this world. And that is the source of life as well. We do need its vegetables, we do need its like fruits, like water. Everything in nature is building our lives, and that's what we need uniting between our logical things and our soul or spirits. And that's the implications of idealism in educations. And now the implementations of idealism in educations. The first is must lead to a goal. Of course, everything must lead to a purpose, right? So, in this matter, where value has been realized into a form that is eternal and unlimited. So, the main point here is the goal is eternal and unlimited. And the second is the process of training needs to be training the thoughts, the memories, and then also the feelings, both to understand reality, values, truth, and also as a social heritage. So when we able to use our thoughts, our memories, our feelings in a correct way, then we can realize and understand the realities, the good values in our life. We can be a very wise person in our life and also be a social heritage, right? And then the third is the aim of education is to maintain the cultural, the social, and spiritual excellence. And so that's why introducing an intellectual spirit to build an ideal society. So in this idealized genre, the implementations is where we need to teach them also to be able to maintain their own knowledge about their own culture. That's why we are suggest to teach our students about natures as well, along with the natures. And so they will understand about the natures, about cultural, about social and spirituals better. And then the fourth is teacher must prepare situations and conditions that are conducive. Of course, teachers need to be a facilitator. The teachers need to create a very conducive situations, a very fashionable, creative, innovative way to teach the students, way to be have a good learning methods or learning situations itself. And then the last is achieve the values and ideas. So the implementations is where we need all human beings together to choose or to achieve the values and the ideas itself. And so finally we already finished all the soup material that I'd like to discuss today, and I would gladly say thank you to you all that already watched my video. So that is all about idealism genre in educational philosophy that I'd like to discuss today. And once again, thank you for my lecture, and also I hope I can see you guys on the next project or the next chances. Thank you. Santi.